Hello again, everyone. Another message. This one from the filtered box I talked about. This is from a PayPal contribution from a while ago, so I'm sorry it took so long to get to it. I'm not sure where to start with all this. I wanted to write in before, but wondered whether what I had to say was worth reading, even if I was essentially paying you to do it via contribution. And even though I so badly want to hear what you might have to say, since you actually understand the world of all this, unlike most people I know, I'm not used to being taken seriously, and the idea makes me tremble and feel like crying. No one's taken the time to listen to me before, not about this. Sometimes it's made me wonder if I have a right to say anything at all. I take too many cues about my worth from how people treat me, which is the crux of my whole problem with narcissism. What I'm having trouble with is not knowing what's real and feeling. What I'm having trouble with is not knowing what's real and feeling lost about what to do. I'm not looking for advice, just an objective, but informed listener about these experiences. I managed to go no contact about 6 months before I stumbled across your videos, which have been one of the most helpful things for me in moving forward, so thank you. My no contact came after managing to get myself out of Landmark. Oh God, oh no. Charlene had a friend that was in Landmark. It's like this Scientology cult. They're absolutely horrible. A slightly less intense version of Scientology used to be EST. Yeah, I know exactly what it is. It's a horrible cult, which is really just a multi-level marketing money-making scheme that preys upon, emotionally hurt people. It's a very narcissistic thing to begin with. It's just horrible. Charlene's friend used to try to convert her into Landmark 3 times a week, used to trick her to go to meetings. They think they're going out. Next thing you know, they're at a Landmark meeting. And basically what they tell you is you need Landmark. Even if you say you don't need Landmark and you're happy, then that's proof you need Landmark because you don't realize how unhappy you are. So there's no way to not need Landmark and have to give them your money and basically sit there for free and recruit other people into the organization. It's a horrible, horrible, horrible organization. My father got me into Landmark after 2.5 years of pressuring me, and it messed me up even worse than I already was. See, that's what I'm saying. I already knew exactly what it is. The anxiety got so bad, I was convinced I was dying. But after having a ton of tests done by my doctor, I was told it was a psychological issue and not a physical one. My father tried so hard to get me to stop going to therapy once I started. First, he told me it wasn't working. This was after 3 weeks. Then he told me I shouldn't need to go that much. Therapy was being paid on my dime, by the way, not his. Then he said I had to go to see his therapist. Then he said he'd go with me to my therapist so we could work it out once and for all. It upset the hell out of me that he was trying to take away the place I had for myself at the time. And that's what narcissists do. They want to take away, anybody who's trying to help you. My father went so far as to write my therapist in New Jersey a threatening letter telling her that she was damaging me, and if she didn't stop seeing me, that he was going to sue her, and on and on. These Landmarks, it's the same deal. They want to get you away from anything that is going to help you mentally, because it's all about their control. These are very narcissistic organizations. Okay, and when you got people who've drank that Kool-Aid, watch out, because they are relentless in trying to get you into that cult. My therapist turned out to be pretty ignorant of narcissism, so I left treatment with her after about 2 years. Her specialty was cults, which was helpful for leaving Landmark, but not for the source of how I ended up in Landmark in the first place. She encouraged me to confront my father with my feelings, which of course was a terrible and stupid idea as he only turned everything around on me. Yeah, and that's exactly like, that's what narcissism is, turning it around and gaslighting. And that's why organizations like Scientology and Landmark, depend. It's the fuel of their organizations. Narcissism is the fuel of those cult-like organizations. That's why they are recruiting in narcissists, people who have been abused by narcissists, because they're easy, they're easy to help move their agenda. My father said, well, I was trying to deal with what I thought was what the root issue was. Being molested by 3 different people between the ages of 5 and 9. I told my father that when he walked in on it happening and did nothing, it sent me the message that it was okay for other people to do that to me. Yeah, exactly. Kind of like, and that's, that is exactly the way I felt when, what happened to me. And I heard my mother laugh about it when, the gay babysitter told her, this guy was showing his dick to me, and my mother just cackled and laughed. And it went far beyond that. That lets you know that in your mind that you're worthless. Your body, your soul, your thoughts, nothing is yours, and anybody can do whatever they want to you. My father said I was being difficult and that I needed to get him a therapist because he couldn't deal with me. I told him I was trying to pull myself out of having felt suicidal for about 6 months, and he says, that's in the past. It's always in the past with a narcissist. When you get down to what the horrible things, whether, it's physical abuse, sexual abuse, where it's provable and you're really spilling it out and they got nowhere to go. Oh, it's in the past. It's in the past. Meanwhile, anything you've done for them is never in the past. You ever realize that? When they're always telling you, why can't you move on? Why can't you forget it? Okay, and you're just supposed to put all these things aside and move on because they say so. Until they want to throw something up in your face that happened 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago, then that's okay. Then it's no longer in the past. See, they get to decide what's in the past and what's not in the past. That's why just cutting them out of your life is the only thing you can do with them, because you will be playing these type of games with them for life, because it's all they understand, it's all they know, and it's all they want to know. So you can't deal with them. How are you ever going to move forward if you keep dragging all that stuff with you? This faux concern of his has always left me with intense feelings of rage, as it should. As your father, you should be looking to fucking kill whoever did that to you, but no, he allowed it to happen. When your own father's standing there and telling him this is what happened to you, and he's just like, oh, just get past it. What other emotion other than rage should that spark in an adult? Just to back up for a second, my father first left me alone with an alcoholic, my stepfather. That was molester number 1. The other 2 kids who lived across the hall and would be beaten loudly by their parents so the whole complex could hear. He'd leave me alone with them quite a lot. He left me alone at home for hours in general. I can't seem to get the words out for what I'm trying to accuse him of. He took away sex from me by letting others do that when I was young. He killed your whole sexuality. He killed your sex drive. He killed any sense of sexual self you had because it was stolen from you as a child. And he willfully allowed it to be stolen from you. I still get so antsy around men because I don't want to lose control of what happens to my body again. I've been single most of my life as a result. The only time I dated when I was drinking heavily in college because that was the buffer for fear. Once I stopped drinking, I stopped sex. It's hard to think of sex or interest as anything but a way to humiliate me. Yeah, it was totally destroyed, but it was totally destroyed at a young age. My father liked to bring it up a lot, reliving the memory of me shaking and crying in his arms after the first time I was molested. I don't really know what to do about my feelings about this. You know, in regards to that, you need to talk to, I would think you need to talk to a therapist about, how you get past that. You did everything you could do in regards to your father. He knows about it, and all he told you is to get over it. Well, you can use that as a jumping off point, as saying like, all right, well, I can close the chapter on that guy because that's getting me nowhere. What do I have to do to rationally get past this fear I have of men, rightfully so, after what happened to you? Because we all process those types of things differently. It's hard to say. I think if you keep talking about it, though, and the more you put it out there, the better it'll probably get for you. It won't be such a taboo subject with you, and it's not going to be something you have to necessarily be ashamed of. And because I'm coming at it from a male perspective, and men and women process things differently. So the more you put it out there, the more you talk to maybe other survivors female survivors who dealt with that sort of thing, maybe you can find some grounding there. Again, I would still look for a therapist that understands narcissism at this point and understands sexual abuse at this point. That'd probably be the best thing for you, how to process your feelings. He brought my stepmother into the mix when I was about 7. We moved in with her when I was 9. He kept saying he loved her, even though he didn't trust her. He didn't see a contradiction in that. I think he knew that she's an evil bitch and picked her for that reason. She called me a brat and stuck up a lot. He acted as if I wasn't okay when she slipped up once and called me a brat in front of him. That confused the crap out of me as a teenager. They did all the typical narcissistic things that you mentioned in videos. They accused me of being so many things, many imagined, and some of them about me not reading their mind. They like to ruin things for me. My therapist told me that I'm an adult and no one can ruin things for you, blah, blah, blah. But you know what I mean when I say ruin. Of course I do. And for your therapist to say that to you, that's just a really bad therapist. Okay, that's why you're in therapy, because you're ruined by narcissistic parents. And to say you're not ruined, you wouldn't be in therapy if you weren't ruined. You're trying to fix something. So it totally goes against the whole point of therapy. Like, what am I doing here then? I liked reading, so my father kept saying it hurt him that I read. When I made a new friend, he'd tell me that that friend wasn't reliable and wouldn't be there for me, or that they were wild. When I lost weight, he kept reminding me of my double chin. My stepmother was no better. She harassed me to get into jobs I hated because she wanted me to be more miserable than her. I felt run ragged by them. Yeah, they always want you to be, they want you to do their things. They want to ruin your upbringing. It's all part of it. Part of why they got away with all this was because I wanted to be loved, or at least not antagonized repeatedly. But I also worry a lot about what I have any rights to do. It's hard to stand up to someone when you can't tell what's real. I still wonder what's allowed and what's wrong. I don't like my parents, but I was raised that it didn't matter what I thought or wanted. It only mattered what people around me wanted. And if I said no to them, I was being a selfish bitch of a person. I worry I worry that if I say no, that it means no one has to talk to me anymore, because that's how it used to go in my house. Exactly. They keep you living in fear. You don't matter. But what are you really afraid of? I mean, why be treated like this? You're trying to be loved by people who are never going to love you. You're never going to win their love, and this is never going to change. So if you say no and nobody talks to you, okay, great. So now instead of calling you spoiled and calling you a brat and calling you a bitch and just gaslighting you on your abuse, now they're just not going to talk to you. What's the difference? What have you lost by them not talking to you, other than them not just actively calling you names and abusing you? You've lost nothing. You've lost nothing. I'm not under the delusion that my parents love me, nor am I wanting for their attention. What shakes me up is being told I'm misunderstanding or overreacting, because then I wonder whether I have it wrong, despite my best efforts to understand reality and be fair. When I went through a few depressions where I kept thinking about killing myself, both my father and stepmother said I was being dramatic and too sensitive, and I remember my stepmother rolled her eyes. I thought I deserved that sort of response for insisting things were bad, when it was apparent from their reaction that I was lying and, in my stepmother's words, being a big baby. See, and we need to stop using, the narcissist as the barometer for your own. You're looking for them to validate your own feelings. They're the cause. They're the cause of the reason why you're feeling the way you do. So not only do they get the cause it, they get to validate it. That is a no-win. That is a no-win situation. And that's why gaslighting works, because that's all that is. That is one big, long gaslight. Of course, the source is going to continue to gaslight you. You're never going to get validation from the source, ever. I didn't know until a year or two ago that parents don't usually react with derision, sarcasm, and disinterest if their child wants to kill themselves. I didn't know that when you told your father that you felt so undeserving of him that you wished you didn't exist, the proper response wasn't for your father to show you a beaming smile. My parents never hit me, not once. They ruined things I cared about, like leaving my old journals out in the rain, or gave things away like my Nintendo that I bought for myself by doing errands for people. But they never used force. Their main message was always, you don't matter. Well, that and things can be taken away from you at any time. My stepmother told me I didn't matter pretty often. Or she said, I don't care what you want, how you feel, what you think. I remember one time I cried silently when she told me, sometimes you don't matter. When she saw my tears, she added nastily, oh, stop being dramatic, God. She would buy me clothing and then get mad if I didn't like it or wear it. When I was young, she got me a toy and later demanded I help her with something. When I said I wanted to play, I was 7. She said she'd gotten me the toy, so now I had to do what she said. So I never wanted anything from her. She kept saying I wasn't accepting her clothes because I was spiteful and I was doing it to hurt her. I hated the pressure she would put on me during this crap. The clothes she picked were ugly. I wanted her to leave me alone. And they will do that. They will put you in ridiculous looking clothes. But like I said, anything the narcissist buys for you comes with a price. They're buying you. They buy you a gift. They are, in a sense, buying you. So they own you. I did this, so now you owe me. That's narcissism right there. I spent a lot of my time in my room growing up because I didn't want to be accused or mocked by them. I still stay in my room a lot, even as an adult, something I'm not happy about. I feel afraid when people want to talk to me because my parents would primarily talk to blame me and say I owed them something. They'd often do that thing where one of them would tell me how pissed the other one was at me, or how I'd slighted them by not being around anymore. excuse me, or for putting myself first when they were the ones in need. I felt guilty for hating going over to my parents' place. They talked about how hurt they were by me not calling more and not coming over more than once a week. My father would stress me out, sending me paragraphs of emails while I was working 50 to 65 hours a week because he knew it overwhelmed me. He said, "What, can't a father love his daughter?" I had no idea what to do with their expectations and started to hate myself. I didn't love them no matter how much I tried to change my feelings. I felt miserable because they're just using you. They're just emotional vampires. No one outside the family seemed to see any problems. I remember telling one family friend flat out about something my stepmother had done. I can't remember what it was now. This person said, "I'm sure she didn't mean it that way." I felt like I was being treated like an oversensitive crybaby. I've hated being called shy when what I felt is terrified. It's not being sensitive if someone is out to harass the crap out of you and gets away with it for 20 plus years. Lately, my father has been trying to get into my life yet again, and I don't know what to do about it emotionally. Apparently, he's suing someone or being sued, and he put my address as his address, so that's what appears on the with the papers were served. Someone showed up at my door. You better be very careful with that, because if he's putting his address as your address, they might try to attach something if he's the one being sued. That could be a real problem. You need to cut all contact with this, because nothing is sacred. There are no boundaries. Nothing is sacred. They can do and say anything they want with your address, with your time, with everything. 2 days afterward, I got a LinkedIn request from my father because I had forgotten to block him on there, apparently. Some part of me knows the timing of these two things is too coincidental to be an accident, but mentally it seems like I've been wrong about so many things already. I don't know what's happening. Physically, I've kept no contact and I have not been tempted to reestablish any relationship, but it's like he's finding ways to break my boundaries anyway. I changed my phone, email, locked everything down, broke contact with flying monkeys, blocked him everywhere, and now he's involving the law of all things, and I wish I could make him stop, but that's just the game of it, to get me to react. So what the hell am I supposed to do? It's not satisfying thinking of him going crazy, because it's just going to spur him on to harass me more. And I'm not yet at a point financially where I can move out of state, so I have to put up with this for about one more year, and I hate it. You might have to get a lawyer. You might have to get a lawyer and have him or put a restraining order on him, because it's getting ridiculous. It might come to that. It might come to that where you have to just put a cease and desist, all contact with me, and I don't want anything to do with you. I would make sure his name, whoever delivered those legal papers, I would call him and say, "This guy doesn't live here. This is where he lives. Take my name and address off of everything." And even though he isn't wielding a knife or calling me a whore, I find these attempts at contact to be menacing. It's basically him telling me, "I know you don't like this, so I'll do it until it hurts you, because I want you to feel bad so I can feel good." I can't tell you how many little ways he's done this over the years. When I used to be afraid of bees, he tried to put one on my face and laughed hysterically when I got angry. I was 22 at the time. He was 62. He told me I was too sensitive and that I was hampering his playfulness. I got blamed a lot for having feelings or needs. Well, blamed for being burdensome, because according to both parents, I was doing it, my feelings, on purpose. They accused me of planning out my feelings against them. I realize this says a lot about them and their motivations, but I still have trouble identifying my own feelings because I honestly don't know what's real or what to call some feelings when they happen. My father told me I didn't have stress and I was making it up, even after I was diagnosed with PTSD. It doesn't matter. You're never going to prove any of this to them because their agenda is to deny it. It made me doubt myself, even though the tactic was so overt. As a child, I was called a liar, pants on fire whenever I felt afraid or unhappy. My father also gave me time limits for feelings, as in I could only be sad for 20 minutes, then it had to stop. I still worry subconsciously that someone will yell at me for not being happy, or just be mean until I cry and then laugh at me the way my father would do. I know it's a stupid fear, but it's been done to me literally hundreds of times in my life. I hate it so much when people hurt me on purpose. I hate it even more when they passive-aggressively tell me I brought it on myself somehow. E.g., if you weren't so hard to deal with, I wouldn't have to talk to you like this. The reason I haven't been able to write in before is because I don't know if this is enough. People who haven't been through this don't understand it, which makes me wonder if maybe I am sensitive and I have to deal with my own troubles because I lack strength others seem to think is a choice or a matter of willpower. Basically, it's a miracle I don't want to kill myself anymore. Basically, I want to know, was all this stuff that happened to me bad, or am I wrong about it? Am I weak? What's real about it? Thanks for your channel, and thanks for reading this. I look forward to hearing anything you might have to say. Bree. It's all real. It's all real. It's typical narcissistic tactics. All of it's real. All of it happened. You know, your parents were gaslighters to the thousandth extreme, and that's how they enjoy emotional abuse. They enjoy emotionally owning you, and then they enjoy being able to tell you, no, it's you, you're crazy, it's not happening, even though it's all right in front of your face. So it's not you, it's them. You've done everything you can do by going no contact and keeping them out. But I'll tell you what, these are all tactics, okay, that have been intensified by that landmark place with your father, because this is what those landmark and Scientologists do. It's the fucking harassment. They keep barraging you and barraging you and barraging you, and they're allowed to lie to you in order to get you in. That's narcissism. That's the root of a lot of this as far as your father goes, and it's a root of it for a lot of people. Those narcissistic cult, quote unquote, religion type places. So thank you for your contribution. Thank you for your story. Thanks everybody for watching. Please leave your comments in the comments section below. And again, if you want your story read on the channel, please make a donation to the PayPal link in the description box below. This is Ollie Matthews. Thanks for watching. I'll see you all again soon. Bye.